Let's welcome Raf to the stage.
How you doing,
all right,
fellas?
Raf?
How you doing, guys?
Great. Welcome to the Lost Frequency podcast. We extend the warm welcome, and I don't know.
Yeah, why don't you, Rafael, why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners about yourself a little bit and where they can find you?
Awesome. I could definitely do that. Well, first and foremost, I want to tell your listeners, thank you for listening. And I want to tell you guys, thank you for having me on the Lost Frequency podcast, because I honestly do believe that this is a super dope move to be able to bring out a message and get it extended out there to as many people as possible. So I feel very, very super supported by my community in this space. So I want to say thank you once again to you guys, Ryan, Tom, for having me on. And a little bit about me. My name is Rafael Skits, the PLK. The PLK stands for Prophet Lucid King. And I'm a recording engineer. And I'm also a hip hop artist, writer for many genres. And I am an extraterrestrial lifetime contactee. Now, a lot of people would say, alien abductions and all that kind of stuff, but I don't like to use the word abduction. But we're obviously going to talk about that during this hour right now. So I'll just take this time to let everybody know I do have a documentary coming out pretty soon called Calling All Hybrids that I'm super stoked to be able to promote the trailer on here. Hopefully towards the end, we'll have a little bit of time and maybe we could pop that in there if you guys, have the time and the ability to do that. That would be amazing.
Absolutely.
That awesome. And then I would like to also let everybody know that if you want to follow me on any of my social media accounts, you can easily find me as either Rafael Lugo or Skits the PLK on all of your streaming networks. As far as your music goes, you can find me on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/listen, the number 2, Skitzo, SKITZO. And that's how you find me on SoundCloud. If you want to contact me on Twitter, is at The Real Skitzo, once again, SKITZO. And then as far as my Facebook group, I have a Facebook group called CE5s, Calling All Hybrids, the CE5 and Alien Connection. So please join the group. We have conversations. And if you're in the Denver area and you want to do any local CE5s with me, I'll be more than happy to take you out and show you some UFOs myself. So that's pretty much
awesome.
Me in the nutshell. I hope that wasn't too long-winded.
Not at all. And if it was, even if some people miss it, we're always going to have that in the show notes. Raph is going to send us to it, and we're going to put it in the show notes. So
you're going to send your bio and all that. It's all going to be at the bottom. And I also want to compliment you on your excellent beard, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Right, got yourself a nice Rocky Mountain beard. I love it.
That's what's up. It helps me in the winter for sure.
Exactly, a little extra insulation to keep you warm up there in Denver.
Sorry. So
no, it's all good. I was just about to say, to be honest, my wife makes me grow out the beard because she wants me to be the Macy's version of Aquaman. So she's like, just keep it growing, bro, and swim in the ocean somewhere. So it's for her. All right. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That is awesome.
No worries, man. No worries. That's fine, man. So Rafael, tell us the beginning of this. Tell us what else started you down this road and why you came to the Lost Frequency.
All right, for sure. All right. So well, as I said in the beginning in the intro, I'm a lifetime experiencer with, extraterrestrial phenomena. I've seen UFOs, having physical contact with what some people would call the grays, tall grays. I feel as if I've been involved in what people call the hybridization program. And I've also have been involved in what most people would say would be a MyLab abduction, where the military would be involved in the abduction. Now, I want to preface this by saying I'm not a hater of our government. I'm not saying it in a negative way or anything like that. Regardless of their methods, I do believe that they're for reasons of national security. So I'm not here to hate on what's happening. Although there are bad apples within the tree, I'm not going to judge the whole tree off of the apples that might be rotten within the system. So when I talk about this MyLab abduction, it's just the patterns in which when I do my research, I can kind of tell the difference between when I have an alien abduction or an alien experience and when the military is involved. And I'll be more than happy to share that with you. But as far as what brought me onto the podcast is, as I said, I'm a musician. My whole life I've been making music, about 20 years. I'm 41 right now. And it's no doubt, that's what's up.
Yeah,
And
me too, man. Me too, man.
it all started like in the Bronx. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York. I was born and raised out in NY, and then a majority of my experiences started over there. Now, although I started with gangster hip hop, I had a lot of experiences, and one particular one during a moment of meditation that wasn't like, it didn't allow me to be able to do any more of the negative music. And I also want to say that I don't knock anybody that makes negative music. I feel that music is a form for you to be able to release pent up energy and, you know, educate people about the lifestyle that you're living. But me personally, it's not like I can do any more cursing or negativity in my music because of what I was shown in this moment of moment of meditation. Now, it started when I was 5. So the first experience that I can remember is it's a little bit embarrassing because I have to start it off by saying that I was always scared of the dark, right? So as a kid, I was always extremely scared of the dark, not knowing why. So scared of the dark that I had my mother put a twin size bed inside of her bedroom for a couple of years because I was just terrified. So the first memory that I can remember was I just remember being in my bed, I was asleep, and I always had this technique. Don't know who taught it to me or how I came up with it, but whenever I'm asleep and I feel like there's someone staring at me, almost as if like when you're at a restaurant and somebody's staring at the back of your head and you have to turn around because you could feel those eyes on you. Whenever I was asleep and I got that feeling like something was staring at me, before I would open my eyes, I would wiggle my toes. And I knew that if I can move my toes, then I can move my body. And whatever's in the room, I could punch, swing, or I could run away. But if I couldn't move my toes, that meant that I was under some sort of control or under some sort of paralyzed. A lot of people might consider it sleep paralysis. I kind of can tell the difference between sleep paralysis and what's happened to me, but that's a whole nother conversation. But either way, I would become completely paralyzed. And in this situation at night that I'm getting ready to talk about, I ended up wiggling my toes and they would not move. So I knew when I opened my eyes, I was going to see something I didn't want to see. When I opened my eyes, what I saw was the traditional gray at the foot of my bed, right? So it had a big bulbous head, 2 black almond eyes, very skinny nose, 2 holes where the nostril should be, small slit for like the mouth. You could see some lips, but not too much like a definition. 2 holes where the ears should be. The neck was very skinny, almost like it wasn't supposed to be holding up the size of the head that was, you know, that was on the body. And then it did have some sort of like skin tight suit on, maybe like a dark blue, dark black, almost like a web suit, like what you used to go scuba with, and really tight to the body. And the minute I saw it, I was like, oh, I tried to scream, but my mouth wouldn't move. So it kind of just came out like, Mari, like I'm screaming for my mother, but my mouth couldn't move. The minute I started screaming, I started looking towards the door, and I noticed that there was another gray standing at my doorway and another gray standing behind that one. So there was 3 of them all together. And I was like, oh no. And I'm still panicking in my mind. And I'm kind of trying to look at my mother, but I can't move my head. And all of a sudden, I hear in my head, in my own voice, there's nothing to worry about. You don't need to be scared. Everything's going to be okay. Like pretty much soothing, but in my own voice. And I'm not calmed down. I'm a little bit more calm, but I'm still laid down. And then the gray that was at the foot of my bed starts moving towards me, but in a very weird way. Like it wasn't walking. It was almost, the way I like to describe it is like that one scene in every Spike Lee movie where the actor is like kind of moving stiffly without walking, and everybody around them is walking fine, but the one actor's in the middle kind of gliding. That's how it looked like to me. I was just laying there and it started kind of gliding towards me. And it has his eyes fixated on my eyes, completely came up to me, almost close enough to rub its nose against my nose. And I blacked out. When I woke up, it was morning. I tried to explain this. I know. I tried to explain this to my mom. But due to our religion, you know, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, so it was either a demon or a dream. There was no such thing as extraterrestrial. So nobody really gave me the validation. But yeah, that was the first extraterrestrial experience that I can remember.
Wow, that is shocking and that you were 5 years old, right?
Yeah, between 5 and 6.
Wow, that is
That's a
terrifying.
It's a little
Terrifying.
much.
Yeah, exactly. And then I like that technique of you said you had of wiggling your toes and using that as a, you know, like a way to determine if I am, you know, capable of moving or if I am under some sort of I don't know,
trance or something.
Trance or spell or something.
What also is very interesting is that the soothing voice in your head was your own. I don't think I've ever heard that.
I spoke to other friends of mine and some other researchers in the field, and they said that that is a common thing that happens, especially with children, because a foreign voice in the head to a child might be a little disturbing, but when it's your own voice, it's a little easier as a child for you to comprehend the commands. It's almost like you're telling yourself to calm down.
So you're
in a way. So, yeah.
Yeah, but basically they're using your voice to tell you to calm down.
Well, I think they're just copying his voice and doing mind speak.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the technology at all. It's definitely either happening from their brain.
Come on, you don't know this though.
Rafael, what's going on, man? You don't know? Come on.
You don't know their technology? Come on. Yeah. It's 5G.
Oh. Brain to skull is brain to skull technology.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Oh, well, that's starting at 5 years old. That was your first one. So, like, did this just
where do we go from there?
happen?
Yeah.
Like, is this like a year or every so often?
Great question. So, just like pretty much everybody else that I talk to, some people have like a very extensive memory of like every night abductions, but I've never been regressed. Like I've never been under hypnotherapy. These are all like my raw memories. So to me, a lot of it is fragmented. So a lot of what I speak about in the documentary and when I get on podcasts and stuff has to do with the main memories that I do remember, but I'll give you a scenario in which there was a fragmented memory. Maybe around the age of 9 or 10, I kind of remember floating out of my bed. I'm laying down completely. And I know the difference between like having out-of-body experience. I know how to induce an out-of-body experience myself. I've been able to do it for a while now. So I know the difference between me leaving my body and my body actually floating out of bed. And there was one scenario in which I was floating out of bed. Physically, my whole body was out of bed, levitating, and I was heading feet first towards the wall. And I just remember having this thought in my head, like, I'm gonna hit this wall, and I'm even though I'm moving slow, I'm just gonna hit this wall. And I just remember there's a light that's kind of like engulfed in the whole room, and everything kind of looks a little dull and colorless almost, but it's almost like I'm shifted in reality, out of reality while I'm in this light, but I'm like in and out of a dimensional state, I guess. I'm just only assuming, but that's kind of what it feels like. It doesn't look as bright as reality while I'm in this light. and I'm kind of like just floating in my own room. And as the wall comes, my feet just start going directly through it. Now, it doesn't cause a hole in the wall as far as like a portal opening up or anything like that, but it's just the wall. And then almost like the movie Ghost, if anybody knows that old movie with Patrick Swayze, he goes through the wall, nothing kind of opens up. He's just translucent, kind of walking through it. That's kind of how it looked like to me. So as my feet are going through, I'm getting this thought like, now my knees are going through, my waist is going through. I'm not really feeling it. I'm kind of getting like a tingly sensation as it's passing through my body. But I remember going, it's about to hit my head. And I felt like in my mind that once my head got to the wall, my head was going to like chop off and like fall off and roll away or something. But sure enough, my chin starts going through it, and I can taste the plaster, and I can taste the wood, and I can taste the cement on the way out. And as my nose is passing, I can smell what plaster smells like, and I can smell the wood and the way. And then I'm kind of seeing the things open up, and I'm floating, and then all of a sudden I'm outside. And I'm still laying down like I'm in my bed, but floating outside of my house. And then I kind of go like that, kind of like flat up, like just standing straight up, but floating in the air. And I'm noticing that I'm right underneath a tree. And I'm thinking in my head, if I'm going up now into this light, this tree is going to destroy me. These branches, I'm going to get cut up. And once again, I'm moving through the trees, and the branches is like going through my skull, passing my eyes. I'm tasting the branches and leaves as they go through my mouth. And I go directly through this tree into this light. And then I don't remember anything else. And I'll give you another scenario. Like, I'm on a ship, and all of a sudden I wake up, and I have this hospital gown on. It looks like a hospital gown, but it's not a hospital gown. It's kind of stuck to my body. It looks a little bit like gauze in a way. And I'm kind of almost mummified, but it's not wrapped around me. Almost like as if I said like I just lifted my arms and something slapped on my body that just covered me. It kind of felt like that, and like gauzy. And I just remembered there was nothing or no one in this room, so I had the chance to like wander around. And I'm just wandering around this room that has no light fixtures, and it's just a solid sheet of dome-like metal curvature and stuff. And there's like a little door and hallway. So I start like walking towards the door out the hallway, and I get this sense in my head, like I want to know what this metal feels like. So I put my hand on the metal, and as I'm like waving my hand on the metal to see how smooth it is going translucent, and I'm able to see outside of whatever craft I'm in. So it's almost like in my head, I'm having this thought like, wow, I want to look outside of this thing, but I'm not saying it. I'm just like touching it. And then as I'm thinking, I wonder if I could look outside, it just goes translucent. And I can see that I'm not too far from my home. I'm floating a couple of feet off the ground in obviously some sort of small structured UFO. And I'm noticing that I'm in a familiar location. There was like this turf farm not too far from where I lived in Oviedo, which is Orlando, Florida. And that's like just a big kind of acreage where they just grew turf and stuff. And I was floating like in that area where the turf is, because I can see like the street. When I waved my hand, I was able to see the street. And I just remember driving past that all the time and looking into like the field and going, there's something there, man. There's something there. I can almost see something invisible just hanging out there. And sure enough, one day I just remember being on a ship there. So it's like that's another. And once again, I don't remember how I got on the ship, how the gauze thing got on me. I just remember those little fragmented things. And then I have these little pieces of like experiences. I'll give you one more that's like a quick little fragment that I don't know what it is. I'm sitting down after playing Call of Duty one night, and I'm just chilling. It's probably like maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's not too late, and I'm asleep, but I'm you know how when you're almost up but you're not, like you're asleep but you're up, your eyes are closed, you look like you pass out but you're sensing everything around you. I was
Yeah.
kind of like in that hypnagogic state, right? I was just chilling in that state of sleep and awake, and I kind of creep my eyes open a little bit, and I can see this blue orb, and it's just a small blue light. It looks like the color of Windex, very bright blue liquidy light in a ball form. Almost looked like it's like a bubble. It looked like a bubble, a perfect bubble shape, like a perfect orb, a sphere kind of shape, but inside of it like a sparkly blue liquid or something inside of it, and it's just moving in my house, and then it makes a right into my hallway, and I'm looking at this thing, and I can notice that as it's moving into the hallway, it's illuminating my hallway, because you know how when you use a flashlight in a dark area, you can see kind of the whole hallway at one point light up and then go dim. I can see the blue light kind of make the whole hallway bright, and then as it goes into one of my rooms, it goes dark and it's a little blue, and then it comes out, gets really bright again, and then I just act like I'm sleeping, and it goes right back out my door. When I mentioned this on another podcast, I had an experiencer that has an incredible recall, like remembers a lot of her experiences, and she told me that that specific event was kind of like a scout drone or an actual extraterrestrial invisible just scouting the area before they either picked you up or you had an experience. So I don't remember anything other than that orb going into my hallway and then out the door again, but that's what I've been told. And that's about it.
Wow. Size of the So if you had to estimate the size of that orb, what would it be?
Maybe double the size of what's the not the orange grapefruit, like two sizes of a grapefruit.
Like a softball.
No, the
Yeah,
two
like
softballs like this, so it'd be bigger like
think
this.
of a grapefruit.
This.
Think of a
Yeah.
grapefruit, and then just expand it one more
Yeah.
size bigger, and that's pretty much how
Okay.
big it looked. But it was
Okay.
almost like a perfect sphere, man. That's the one thing I just remembered about it, that it wasn't like a smoky. It didn't have like a orb around, like light.
Yeah.
It was like a legit sphere with something blue inside of it moving around, which is kind of weird.
And and going back to you floating out of your room, like, would you feel that maybe perhaps you were out of phase with reality? Like you were like possibly out of phase, and that means that you could pass through everything, though you were still close, so close that you were able to taste things, like you said, taste and smell.
I 100% believe that they just kind of like whatever dimension or form of reality that they're able to kind of like walk around among us without certain people being able to sense them. I kind of sense them when they're around me. Something about these experiences has awakened a lot of my kind of natural human gifts, because we all have them. I don't like to talk like I'm like this mutant superhuman, because that's not the case at all. Everything that I'm able to do as far as like remote viewing or lucid dreaming or out of body experiences, turning off lights with my mind, or I have a scene in the documentary. There was a strong it's just easier to explain it this way, so I'll just explain it this way. During my awakening process,
Yeah.
in the beginning, before I really knew what was happening to me, I had a lot of PTSD that came with these experiences. So a lot of people that go, oh, these experiences are all peace, love, and light, and everything is beautiful. Yes, it can get to a point where it is that way. But when you do not know what's happening to you, it is some of the most terrifying events, And when you have people in your life telling you, it's demonic or it's something evil that's happening to you, it's even more terrifying, right? Because now not only are you being taken out your bed by these weird looking things that shouldn't be in front of you, and they make your body kind of shake, and they can make you do things that you don't want to do, but you're also being told that they're negative. So like now you're just a magnet for all these negative things. So a lot of my early 20s and, you know, early years, had a lot of social anxiety, was hard to like communicate with people. And I just remember watching this documentary about other experiencers, and I just started crying like 75% through, just bawling, crying like, oh my God, finally there's other people like me. I just felt like everybody just didn't understand what was going on to me. Like I was like, no, it's not a demon. No, it's not this. It's not. And then finally I watch a movie, or I forget the name of this documentary. I won't figure out the name of that doc, but I just watched this thing, and then I just remembered there was a psychiatrist on there. And I was like, you know what? My whole life I've been thinking I'm crazy. I try to tell my friends, they tell me I'm crazy. The best person to talk to is a psychiatrist, right? Make sure, and also I want to say this to your viewers and everybody that's listening right now. Not every voice that you hear in your head is extraterrestrial. So if you're actually hearing voices, I would definitely recommend for you to go find some help first, you know, and really get all that handled before we start going automatically as ET, right? Because I don't want you or anybody else to, I mean, there is people out there with mental health issues. So I do want to say that first. But in my situation, you know, I just so happen to be one of the experiencers out of many out there. And in seeing this documentary, I just go, wow, I need to call this psychiatrist. So I ended up calling him, right? And by just looking up his name on Google or whatever. And I'm thinking I'm going to get a secretary or like an answering machine or something like that. And I end up getting the actual psychiatrist that was in the documentary. So I was super flustered. I was like, I don't know. I'm sorry. And he was like, just take a breath and tell me everything from the beginning. And I just took a breath, and yeah, he just knew. I guess he got those phone calls a lot, right? Because of the documentary. So I just start spewing all my experiences. Finally, somebody wants to hear me out, and he goes at the end of it, and I go, I'm fucking crazy. Oh, I'm sorry for cursing. My bad. Am I allowed to curse? I'm sorry. I'll just stop it right here. Hold on.
No problem. No problem.
3,
Yeah.
2.
Honestly, it's no problem.
All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't mean to that. All right, you can cut that out. All right. So,
No
all right, so anyway, in talking to him, I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is actually listening to me. He's really hearing me out. I'm getting this feeling of like I'm being heard finally. And he goes, dude, you're not crazy, man. Like, I'm just going to tell you, you're telling me a lot of things that you can't find on YouTube. You're telling me a lot of things about these beings that you can't find in books. Like you have to be a researcher like me, talking to hundreds of abductee people to like really understand the patterns in which the way the real people talk and the way, you know, the people that need mental help, you know, that need to go get help talk, right? So I guess I was giving him all the green flags of like, yo, this dude is really going through something crazy. So he was like, listen, I can validate for you. You don't sound like you're erratic. You sound like great. Your story it kind of checks out. I want to send your story or if it's okay, I would like to introduce you to a friend of mine called Miss Denise Stoner. So I was like, yeah, cool. I don't know who this lady is, but anybody else that would like to hear me talk about these UFOs or aliens, I would love to get this off my chest because my whole life I've been called crazy or whatever. So once again, I'm thinking I'm going to hear from this lady in like a week or something. And within an hour, I get an email. I need to talk to you right now. A very serious person called me and said, I need to talk to you. So I talked to her. So I call her. I said, hello. She goes, yeah. How you doing? Tell me everything from the beginning. So once again, I go through the whole routine and I tell her everything from the beginning. And she goes, honey, you're not crazy. I was doing things like hiding knives around my house because I never knew when I was going to get abducted. So I would hide a knife in my kitchen cabinet. I would hide a knife in my bathroom. I would hide a knife underneath a cushion in the kitchen. So she was like, that's so dangerous. Like, you're going to forget where you put these knives. Stop doing that and put little flashlights where those lights are, because the little grays hate when you shine lights in their eyes. And finally, there was a person that not only was telling me I'm not crazy, but she's giving me tips on how to deal with this. So I was like, this is awesome, right?
Exactly.
She's now she's like, okay, I think you have a very profound story and I need to meet you. Do you want to meet physically? Because to this time, it's just been on the phone. I said yes. Within a week, she's at my house. And she came to my house with this lady called Terry Lynch, which was the head MUFON director for Florida State at the time. And they both came to my house. They gave me a proper interview. They checked my, they took soil samples. They did, test on me. They asked me for my story. They asked me about my family background, and they were able to further verify my story and kind of put me down in the MUFON books as a person that's been validated having serious experiences. So when they left that day, I was like, this is the first day that I don't feel crazy. And I actually feel like, wow, this is actually happening to me. And she was like, you need to get with a community. And once I realized that there were other people out there that I can meet up with and we have little group discussions and we could talk about the things that would happen to me, it literally shifted my whole mind state on this experience that I was having. I went from going, oh my gosh, this is crazy, to, oh my gosh, this is kind of cool if you really think about it, right? So that got me really into meditation. Now, I've been doing music for a while at this time, but a lot of my music has been super negative, and like I just was like down with gangster hip hop because of my environment and because it was super popular at the time is what I knew. So I just remember,
Raph, I'm just gonna get you to hold there. We're gonna jump to our break, and then we're gonna come right back. Okay,
and we'll go right back into why
we're gonna go into the meditation after that. Let's go into the meditation.
Exactly. All right. Let's hit to our commercial. All right, Frequenauts, we're pleased to introduce the revolutionary GG mat and GG belt from Global Genesis. The GG mat is your ticket to a transformational journey right in the comfort of your own home.
Did you know that countless Americans have found solace with it in helping with cancer, autism, autoimmune disorders, and in general pain relief?
Yeah, let's not forget that they also help with sleep issues. Without a good night's sleep, you're going to be pretty much useless the next day, which means you're not going to be able to work. No work equals no money. No money equals no ghost hunting tools.
Whether you choose to sleep on the GG mat all night or use it while indulging in your favorite Lost Frequency episode on YouTube, the possibilities are endless.
But that's not all. Let's look at the GG belt, which takes therapy to a whole new level. You can wrap it around your neck while studying the latest information on ancient apocalypses to boost your focus or bid farewell to neck pain and tension caused by prolonged hours in front of the computer trying to find your favorite episode of The Lost Frequency.
Or you can even wrap it around your waist or your shoulders to alleviate lower back pain or shoulder discomfort after an intense dogman expedition out in the LBL.
Each device uses frequencies that can range between 1 Hz to 30 Hz.
It also has pulsed electromagnetic therapy, which has been approved by the FDA for over 40 years.
Don't waste your time with near infrared. Global Genesis uses far infrared to penetrate deep inside your body where it's actually needed. The mat and belt are the superheroes you didn't know you needed. With their grounding ability, they're able to help in resolving blood clots, poor blood supply leading to strokes, dementia, Alzheimer's, or diabetic foot.
Man, with all that going on, the only reprieve would be watching The Lost Frequency while using the mat or belt.
And lastly, they use real quality gemstones. Makes you think of Indiana Jones kind of stuff, doesn't it?
And we got a little something for our Frequenauts. If you use the code TLF50, not only do you get $50 off the mat or belt, you also get free shipping.
To take advantage of this offer, please go to www.globalgenesiscomp, that's COMP.com. The link will be provided in the show notes. Now, back to the show.
There you go, Matt. There you go, Ralph. Get yourself a belt and fix your life.
I need to get a belt because I need to be more grounding, my man. I need to ground.
There we go.
Thank you, my friend.
That was actually we just released that episode last week on Thursday with Dr. Iman
Antonius.
Yeah.
And she's from Egypt, went into the whole why the pyramids are made the way they are, and she's She's Egyptian herself, and then she was like, "Hey guys, go ahead and make this commercial for me." She started her own company. Like, let's go. So
You
it
know
was
what?
great.
I'm definitely gonna look into that product because I always love to support people with the kind of products that help, extend life and really help others get into a positive mind state and a better healthy body. So I'm definitely gonna look into that.
All right, so we have something in common too. I wanted to get before you get into the rest of your story that you're getting
No,
into.
it's
I
all
used to
good.
be.
I
No,
tend
it's
to ramble, so it's
fantastic,
all good.
bro.
You
You're
gotta
great.
cut me off, my brother.
No, you're great. No. For us, we love the fact that you're enjoying what you're doing, and you're very good at what you do. You're very good at rolling the ball.
And on my end, it makes it so much easier for editing if only one person's talking like through the whole thing. It's like so easy. I'm like, yeah, just go.
No, but I like because I used to be. I'm a metal musician myself, and I used to play like metalcore and deathcore and death metal. And then later in life, things happened to me too, and I swung, and now I'm into like psychedelic doom metal, and it's all like positive, like transcendental
I
stuff.
love that.
So like,
Dude, I
I'm
love
with you,
that.
man. I'm with you. Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
man.
what
So
what
so
what
to
changed you
segue,
from going from yeah, absolutely, my friend. What changed you
no, it was an
from your
awesome
gangster
segue.
rap into meditation into this positive music that you do today?
That's dude, number one, that was an awesome segue. So dopeness. All right. But you crushed that, my friend. You crushed that. All right.
I'm working on it, man.
So no, for real. The reason why is because I completely forgot before the commercial. So you brought it right. You made it pop right back in my memory what I was about to talk about as far as the meditation. So that's why I said that was an awesome segue because I needed the help. so that
Thank
was
you.
dope. So to get back to what I was saying earlier, right? So I was just thinking about making another song, but I got into meditation because of meeting this community and just finding out other people's stories. I just realized that there was a way for me to get more zen within myself. So I got really deep into meditation for a couple of years. And I just remember being in the studio and going, you know what, before I get into the studio, like some sage, do a meditation, kind of like get the vibes right. And I'm doing the meditation. And in this moment of meditation, I kind of just see this little white light, just a little dot in the distance. And I'm just like looking at it in my mind's eye. Obviously, my mind's closed. So it's all just dark. My eyes are closed. It's just darkness. And it's just this little dot in the darkness of my mind. And all of a sudden, it just rushes towards me. And all of my mind goes white. And I feel like I'm being pulled out of my body and I'm going through like not a light tunnel, but I could just feel I'm rushing up really fast. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, I feel like I'm in the middle of the universe, just like in the center of the
Wow.
galaxy.
Well,
And I can
Raphael,
see my,
Raphael, if you don't mind, that
yeah,
sounds a lot like a DMT experience that people rush through like a wormhole, and it's white. It's a certain type of DMT. I can't remember. I think it's an M5. I can't remember the exact. And they actually go to the center of the universe, and sometimes they meet beings of light that they talk to telepathically. So
dude. So
you
this
definitely
is what
sparked
happened
something
to
in my
me.
mind. All right,
So check
yeah.
this out. So I
All
get
right.
shot to the center of the universe, and the minute I'm there, I kind of like I can feel myself floating there. And all of a sudden, it's like I have this Kundalini experience, like what people call the God mind or whatever. I can feel everything everywhere all at once. Like I knew what it was like to be a blade of grass in the middle of a field, and then at the same time, like the wing on a butterfly's back, and at the same time, I knew what it was like to be the wind itself. Like it was just a feeling of just knowing what it was like to be everything all at once. And then once I got like rooted in that feeling, I get shoved, like almost like I'm being pushed to another scene. And all of a sudden I'm in this kitchen and I'm just floating in like at like at like I'm having an out of body experience, kind of just floating above like the corner where the refrigerator is, and I can see this couple fighting. Like I could see a man hitting his wife, and I can hear my
Wow.
music background, just playing. Just I can hear my music in the distance as he's beating my wife. Excuse me, as he's beating his wife. And then all of a sudden, I get pushed into another scenario, and I'm floating above a car, and I'm looking at this guy, kind of like getting ready to tie up or start doing drugs, and once again, my music is playing in his car while he's while he's getting ready to do all these things. And then I get like this flash of like a pebble falling on one side of the ocean. And then on the other side of the ocean, it was like a tidal wave destroying major cities. And I get this feeling in that flash that what I was making musically, although I was just making music and I didn't know, it was causing an effect beyond me that I wasn't able to see. And instantly I just get rushed back into my body, like I just fall, like boom, slam right back into my body, and I just overwhelmingly start crying. And I knew from that moment on, I couldn't do another negative song about any kind of drugs or killing or anything like that. And I couldn't really curse in any more music. It's just, I don't knock anybody from doing it. Once again, I mean, I feel like music, you should express yourself how you feel. You need to express yourself. But because of this profound moment of enlightenment I had, I just knew that if I kept on making that kind of music, I was going to do more harm than good. And I knew that I needed to reverse the scale, because I instantly just knew my path. I just knew all of a sudden, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I need to change what I'm doing. And then up with a song called Call It Off.
It's kind of like, I don't know if you're religious or not, but it's kind of like a God moment in which you were showed in the most descriptive way what your effect is upon the world, and now you find your path, and that is incredible. I mean, I didn't have it quite that way. It was more internal, but you had it in this because of your experiences.
Very
I imagine.
Profound, very
profound. It's kind of like a Christmas. Was that a Christmas story?
Oh yeah, with like
that's what it was reminding me of.
Ebenezer Scrooge and the Christmas Christmas past.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy about that? That's a great way to describe it, but it's so nuts because to me, it felt like almost forever, but I wouldn't be surprised if all of that information was given to me within 10, 15 seconds or like a couple of minutes. So it's almost like it's a download in a way. Like I was pulled out and given all this information all at once and then sucked back in. And I just remembered like just coming out of it being weird, because I don't like to use religious terms, but almost like baptized in a way. I had that second chance to do right this time. So let me exalt you of all the crap you was doing. And if you walk your path, then we can open some doors and keep you talking to the masses, so that way you can let them know that we're loving. So that's kind of where we're at with it.
Rafael, if you don't mind, I keep calling him Ralph. Is that the?
Yeah,
no, Rafael's an Italian name.
Call me whatever, brother.
How does this tie into this? What do they call that? Where you're this breeding thing that you were talking about? Hybridization. What is this? What are you trying to tell us with this information? Because it was in your bio and all these things. I watched a little couple seconds of your podcast and stuff. What is this?
Well, I'll be more than happy to tell you why I believe I'm in the hybridization program. Now, once again, I don't know at all what the program is for. I don't know if it's involved with multiple races. I don't know if humans are involved as far as like military or government or anything like that. I don't know if it's involved with like military or anything like that, right? In any way, shape, or form. But what I can tell you about the hybridization program is I just remember having this memory, right? Of me standing in my driveway in Oviedo, Florida. I'm holding my son's hand, and this is my oldest son. He's 13 right now, and I think at the time he must have been like between 7 and 9-ish, around there, maybe 10. And so a couple of years back. And I just remember being in my driveway. It's nighttime. Don't remember how I got to my driveway. I'm just standing there holding his hand. And in the sky is just this massive UFO. And I'm talking about like it was blocking half of my view of the sky. So it was like, to me, it was massive. And I just remember having this thought of like, how is nobody else seeing this? Like, how is this not possible that somebody's not opening their blinds and going, yo, what's going on out there? Like, but obviously it was just me and my son looking at this thing. What it looked like was like, imagine matte black. It had no rivets, no seams, just kind of indentations on the bottom that would shine light out of it. And it was just completely matte black, kind of this thing in the sky. Just it's almost like the black that doesn't shine, like the dead, unglossy black,
Yeah.
gunmetal black,
Yeah,
whatever
flat.
they call it.
Yeah, flat
Yeah,
black.
just
Yeah.
like completely flat, no gloss black. And
Right.
it had like this purplish mist coming off of it that was kind of like, it looked almost like electrified mist in a way, like it had like some sort of electricity to it in a way, but it's coming off of it. And I'm just looking, I just remember looking at this massive UFO with my son, and then instantly I'm walking, like it's like I blink and I'm walking down this very long hallway. So I go from my driveway, I blink, and now I'm just walking down this hallway, and I'm holding my son's hand. And to the left of me is this very tall gray. And I'm talking about, it looked exactly like what the gray looked like in my room, but it had a smaller head, longer neck, and it was like tall as all heck, like taller than Shaq. I'm 6'1", and it dwarfed me. Like it made me look small. So I just remember also the fingers, like the way the fingers wrapped around my hand as it was holding it. The fingers was just so much longer. Like if I were to like show you, like it was like so much longer than my hand. And on the right side of my son, holding his hand, is another gray, identical, almost like twins, carbon copies of the same species. And we're walking down this long hallway. If I wanted to describe the hallway, it would be like there was no light fixtures, but it was well lit, almost like it had atmosphere in a way. There was no seams, no doors. It was just like a long hallway, and it was white and it was lit, and it looked clean enough to where I can drop a whole bunch of food on the floor and just eat it like it was a plate. Like it just looked so clean and sterile. And they walked me down the hallway with my son, and then I start noticing this framed window on the right wall as I'm walking. And as I walk up to the frame, it's not framed at all. Like it doesn't have like the squares within the window. It's just a hole in the wall kind of window, which I know to be a two-way mirror. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But as I'm looking in this glass window, I could see a daycare, and it's like toys in the corner, a small circular rug in the middle of the room, a rocking chair on top of the rug. There's a mural on the back of the wall with like a bear in a conga line with a tiger and some kids, like just having fun, animals reading books to kids. And I'm just like, it looks like a daycare or like the lobby of a children's hospital. Like it just looked like kids are supposed to be there. And then the gray on the right walks my son into the room. And I see my son through the window walk into the room. None of us are scared, by the way. I'm looking at these beings, and I just remember not being scared, not being terrified, no fear, just in this kind of like hypnotic, whatever state, like just super calm, chill. And I'm looking at my son. He sits down Indian style in the right corner of the room. And then in entering the room in like this archway in the back corner of the room come like 3 or 4 children that look like hybrids. They have gauze outfits on, like they look like the hospital gowns that wrapped in gauze, like what I was wearing on the ship at one point. And they almost identical. And the reason why I knew that they were hybrid was the eyes, the ears, and the mouth. So they looked human, other than the eyes were double to almost triple the size of a normal human's eyes, and the nose and mouth mouth was probably double this, like double and smaller. Like it was twice as small as a normal human mouth, and the ears were twice as small. So it's almost like they don't really use their mouth to eat as much. It's almost like they didn't look right. They didn't have really big black eyes. I did see whites and pupils and different colors and stuff like that, but they were massively bigger than other kids. And they sit and they form a circle with my son, not around my son with my son in the middle, but my son joins in and helps them make a circle. And there's like this white thing floating in between them. And I get the sense that they're teaching my son how to move things with his mind, because this thing is just floating towards one hybrid, and without them touching it, they push it with two hands and it floats towards another one. And they're playing catch without touching the physical object. And then I get gestured into the room by the other gray that was watching me intently while I'm looking at this scenario with my son through the window. And he proceeds to walk me into the same room. And I'm looking at my son. Everything's cool. Everybody's cool. Nobody's kind of disturbed that I'm in there. It's almost like everybody's cool with me being there. And I get sat in the rocking chair. Now, this is when I notice it's a two-way mirror, because now I can see the reflection of myself in the chair. And I'm just like, okay, I can see the mural behind me. I can see myself in the chair and everything's cool. And as I'm looking in the reflection, in comes this lady from the same archway that the kids came out. She's holding a baby and she looks like a hybrid. She doesn't have almost any expression on her face. She's very calm, very nice. I get no sense of fear, harm, or anything from this lady, just very calm. She walks in and hands me a baby. And the baby, I look at it and the eyes look very sunken in and very black, double the size of a human eyes, small nose, small mouth. It looked very pale and frail, like had very like sporadic hair that was like growing in little stringy patches. And it just looked like a frail baby. And they had me a bottle. And they kind of just start looking at me, and I get the sense that they want me to feed this baby. And I start feeding the baby, and the baby doesn't want to eat. And I get the sense that is my baby. Like, this is my child, and they want me to bond with it to see if it could live, or to see if maybe something that I can give it as a human will make it live on. And as I'm sitting there kind of confused, staring at them, staring at the baby, it's like I blink again and now I'm in this auditorium. And it's a huge auditorium, looks like a lecture hall for a college, kind of like staggered seats going up in like columns, like stacks in a way, like pancake stacks or whatever.
Right.
And there's like 2 seats, 3 seats, and then there's long gaps, and then 2 seats. And sitting next to me is this fat black chick from Brooklyn, is the best way to explain it. How do I know she's from Brooklyn? I turn to the left. She looks at me and she goes, "What's up, man?" And I go, "What's up?" And she goes, "Where you from?" And I'm like, "Where? I'm from the Bronx. Where you from?" And she's like, "I'm from Brooklyn, yo. Like, this is crazy, right?" And we start talking, like having a normal conversation. And as I'm looking down, I could see other people too in the auditorium, but they wasn't close to me, and it wasn't a lot of them. It was like even a lot of empty chairs, and maybe in the distance 2 more people, and a lot of empty chairs, and 3 people in the back. And we're in these little kind of like 2, groups, and these little groups and whatever. We're talking to each other, and I'm looking at the bottom of like this lecture hall thing, and there's like this table with a little black box on it. And there's an archway on the right side of the room at the bottom. And in comes this being that looks like it has no bones, but you can see like a head, you can see shoulders, arms, body, legs. And it starts like walking in a jelly fashion. Like, it's obvious it doesn't have bones because of the way that the movement of the body was very like jelly and frequent. And inside of the body was like a motion liquid that looked like gold and sparkles, and the head had like a flicker of a flame look and emotion, and it gestures towards the box on the table. And when it gestures his hands towards the box on the table, the box opens up from the top, and the most beautiful hologram that I've ever seen. I'm talking about 8K, 360. Like, I felt like if I touched the hologram, my finger would actually go on planet Earth. And it was just this planet Earth, beautiful HD hologram spinning out of this small little box on the table. And then all of a sudden, from the corner of the room comes this meteor. And it looks very small, and it hits Earth, and the whole Earth explodes. And in my mind, I hear like this very deep robotic voice that goes, "When this happens, you will all have a job to do." And it's almost like I blink and I'm in a field with like a ton of people. And I'm talking about Woodstock, like so many people, like a sea of people. And we all have our palms up like this, facing up at the sky. And there's this light coming, smoking towards Earth, and it just blows up in the middle of the sky. And it starts looking like that scene in Independence Day at the end when they blow up the ship and all the sparkles. It looks like fireworks and stuff, meteors, like all the fragments coming down. And we're just looking at that. And then I blink from that field again. And now I'm in my driveway. My son's legs are wrapped around my waist. His head's on my shoulder. He's like asleep, snoring, drooling on my shoulder. And I'm just watching this UFO float away. I don't even remember walking back in my house and laying him down to go to sleep. I just remember watching the UFO go away. And that's why I believe I'm in the hibernation program.
Well, Rafael, it also that would make sense, and at the same time, I completely understand your PTSD. Holy crap!
Yeah, man.
That was incredible.
Now I just heard this too. Someone else talking about like connecting with hybrids. It's kind of like they need that humanly mother.
We just had a podcast about it. Yeah, it was us.
Who was that?
I can't remember the guest, but it was like Jesus. 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah, they were talking about like connecting with a
like,
child.
Here, take the baby.
Take the baby.
That love from you.
Oh my God, who was that?
I was told. Remember. Yeah, I was told by Preston Dennett.
He's our podcast.
That's awesome that it was your podcast, and you was like, dude, I was listening to a podcast the other day.
There was another podcaster. There was another podcaster who did a lot of UFO stuff.
Jeremiah.
I did the audio on it.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like,
Jeremiah. Yes, and he talked all about abductions,
hyper programs.
Yes. Oh my God. Why did
and
I
he was
forget
talking about the human touch, where they would bring the babies, and how often. So when it was with women, they would be pregnant, and then they would not be pregnant, and a lot of interesting stuff like that. That sounds. Those definitely matched up.
Yeah, what is his podcast? What if they're wrong?
What if they're wrong?
His podcast. Jeremiah,
we're so sorry.
I was actually, you know, what's crazy? I was actually on. I think I was on that podcast, to be honest. What if they're wrong?
Well, shout out to Jeremiah. Jeremiah Dorf.
Oh yeah, I was on Jeremiah's podcast. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He was like, he loves. You know, because we do everything.
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know if he dropped the episode yet. That's probably why. I don't know if he dropped the episode.
Oh, okay. Well, shout out to Jeremiah, and
shout out to Jeremiah.
Man, you got stories, or no, I don't want to say stories. You got experiences for ages,
and they're extremely descriptive. And you're like a very good auditor, not an auditor,
orator.
You don't work for the IRS, do you? Not an auditor.
No, sir. I've been. Public speaking is something I'm really into. I want to do more speaking gigs to talk about this, because I really want to talk about like the PTSD. Like, I've had a lot of emails of people that listen to my music and hear my experience, and they go, "Dude, I thought I was crazy until I heard you talk." And the same thing is happening to me. And it's like I hear all these things, and I'm like, you know what? I need to really go out there and start telling people, like, yo, like, these experiences are not always peaches and cream, because normally you start off not knowing what's happening. And if you don't have the information, like me in the beginning, I didn't have the information, your mind is open to wandering and usually goes negative. So the more that we can put this information out there and let people know, like, even though these scenarios might be scary, even though you kind of signed up for it, and it's a beautiful thing if you can understand what's going on. Like, I'm not saying that I signed up to be a part of a hybridization program, but I am saying while I'm involved in it, let's at least spread the word and talk a little bit about what they might be doing, because I've never had a sense of fear with these beings. The only fear I've ever sensed was the fear of not knowing what might be happening to me. I don't believe that when they paralyze me, they're paralyzing me to scare me. I believe they're frail and I'm a monkey in their eyes. And if I move my hand in a different way, I'm going to crack them like we would be scared of a gorilla in the jungle. So if
Hence
there
the
was
epic
a way,
beard.
yeah,
Hence
I'm
the
telling
epic
you,
beard.
dude, I'm
Right.
telling you.
I, I got a question. I know in the beginning you talked about the military involvement. I know we're running a little bit out of time, but can you dabble with that? Like, how are they involved, or what is the differences between these, and how do you see that difference?
Another great segue and another great question. So thank you for asking that. And I'll jump into it I usually tell this story in depth because there's a lot of detail to it, but I'll try to give it a shorter run at it. And basically what happened is one night we're having dinner. After eating a solid dinner, my wife was doing the dishes. She decided to throw away the garbage. And as she's walking outside, she leaves the front door open. And I'm kind of looking at her from the living room. And she's just standing in this pathway, getting ready to throw away the garbage outside in the garage. And I can see her kind of like stiff, staring up at the sky. And I'm like, what is she doing? What is she looking at? So I stare at her for like maybe a minute or two or whatever. And I start walking towards her. She's just not moving. It looked weird. So I tapped her on her shoulder. And the minute I tapped her on the shoulder, she turned around and was like, wow, isn't this guy beautiful right now? Like, she snapped out of a trance. And I'm like, what were you doing? Just staring at the sky. There's nothing up there. And she was like, what are you talking about? I just walked out here and said, isn't this guy beautiful right now? She didn't even remember standing there stiff. So I go outside. I was smoking cigarettes at the time. So I decided to have a smoke. And while I'm in my driveway, I can see this golden light in the horizon just kind of rising up in the distance. And I'm like, oh, babe, look, it's one of those Chinese lanterns. I bet you we're about to see like a whole bunch of them. Somebody must be having a wedding or something. And sure enough, I didn't see a whole bunch of them. And it stopped moving. And I was like, wait a minute, those Chinese lanterns don't stop moving. Oh, I know what that is. That's a helicopter coming towards us, and it's a spotlight or whatever. And sure enough, I don't hear the propellers. It's not moving. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's a UFO. And I told my wife, babe, I think we're looking at a UFO right now. I'm gonna try to connect with it. And she goes, okay, do your thing, right? We just start kind of like laughing. And internally, I say, with peace, love, and light, I'm an ambassador here from Earth. And I just want to say, thank you for showing up. And I would love to connect with you right now. But in order for me to know I'm connected, can you please move to the right? And the minute I say that in my mind, this golden light starts moving to the right. And I go, and I squeeze my wife's hand. I get super excited. I say, babe, I'm connected. And she goes, oh, stop. What is it? I'm like, I'm connected. I connected to this thing. It's moving. And I was like, okay. I'm gonna do it now, but I'm gonna let you hear it so you can see. Thank you for moving. And I say this out loud now so my wife can hear it. And I said, thank you for moving. That was a wonderful experience. So my wife can experience this with me. Can you please move to the left? And as the words left is coming out my mouth, it starts moving to the left. And then she gets excited. I say, oh, look, I told you, we're connected. So as we're getting excited, I can see the light flickering, and like, it's getting brighter, it's getting dimmer, it's getting brighter, it's getting dimmer. And it is talking to us as it's connected to us emotionally. And the minute we're having fun with this thing for like maybe less than a minute, 2 minutes, we're connected with this thing. This helicopter flies over my house and starts jetting directly to it. Then a helicopter comes from the right side. And then a helicopter comes from the distance. And then all of a sudden, no lie, there's like 5 or 6 helicopters in a circular formation around this light, just staring at it. Like, it looked like a scene from a movie. Like, I was in shock that there was this many helicopters around this light. And I just go, what are we looking at right now? This is crazy. And I look to the right, and turning down my street is this black Durango. And I'm talking about black rims, black paint, black tints on the side back, black tints on the windshield. And that's when I started going, this is weird, because in Florida, there's like a 70%, 60% tint thing that you would get locked up if your windshield was all tinted or whatever. So to see limo tint on a like windshield of a car is like crazy. And I'm like, seeing this limo tint, this Durango's moving slow. I'm looking at the UFO with the helicopters, looking at the Durango, looking at my wife, looking at the UFO, looking at the Durango. It kind of stops a little bit, 2 houses before it's about to pass me. And then it kind of speeds up 15 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour. Nothing too crazy, but it speeds up faster than it was creeping to the house. And as it passes me on the driveway, this green flash that covers both my eyes, and it engulfs my whole vision. And I don't see the green flash coming from the car. I just, as it passes, it's just a green flash covered my whole eyesight. And I said, babe, did you just see that light? And she goes, yeah, it was blue. And I was like, no, it was green. To her, it was like blue or red or something. But to me, it was distinct, like the color of your logo, green, like straight up green. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I look at it, it reverse parks at the back of the cul-de-sac where I lived at, and it's kind of like staring. I can feel the eyes from whoever's inside of that thing staring at us in this drive, staring at us. And my wife gets freaked out. She goes, dude, that's the Men in Black. I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this crap. And she goes inside, because it really felt weird, because we got helicopters and a UFO, a limo tent car is creeping by us weirdly, like almost like it's going to roll down the window and do a drive-by, but it doesn't. And we're just kind of just standing there. She goes inside. I go, you chicken, you always ask for an experience, and then when it happens, you're not ready. I'm making fun of her. And then as I'm doing that, she goes inside. The light, it goes dim until it goes invisible. And now it's just a circular bunch of helicopters looking at nothing in the air, kind of just looking at each other. And I go, you know what? I'm going inside. I end up going inside, and, you know, I talked to my wife for about a minute about it. And when I think about that, it's the weirdest thing in the world, because if that were to happen to me right now, I wouldn't stop talking about it for an hour, 7 hours, 3 weeks. But for some reason that night, I was like, babe, that was a crazy experience. She was like, yeah, it was. And that was it. That's pretty much all we said about it. We proceeded to sit down with our kids and watch Nacho Libre. We watched the whole movie. It ends up being like 10:43 p.m. I know this because my Roku was the first edition of a Roku at the time, and it was bouncing the time like as a time slaver on my big screen, and it said 10:53. I can see it. It was just bouncing there, and I'm like, okay, it's there, whatever. It's 10:43, 10:53, whatever it is. And I'm looking at it. I just know it's almost 11, but it's not 11 yet. And I'm talking to my wife. Both of my sons are asleep on my couch. I'm sitting on the love seat. My wife is sitting on the recliner. She's staring at me. My back is to the front door. She's staring at the front door. All of a sudden, as we're talking, she goes, shh, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. And I go, what? I think somebody's trying to get in the house. And I go, what? So I'm quiet, and I can hear somebody jiggling at my front door now, like jiggling it to see if it's open, jiggling it to see if it's open. And I'm like, what is going on right now? My house is completely dark because we just finished watching the movie, and we like to watch it in darkness. We got a big screen with the whole Bose surround system, whatever. So we like to do like the whole movie theater effect. And I get this thought in my head, oh, it's probably one of my friends trying to play a prank on me. They see none of my lights is on. I probably left my studio light on or something. And I started walking slowly towards the door. Now, my front door was one of those doors that had 2 windows in the front with a curtain on it. So I could just move the curtains and see who's in my front door. So my plan was to slowly walk towards the front door as the door was jiggling, move the curtain and scare whoever's trying to scare me, which I'm assuming is one of my bandmates is here to do a song or something. Like I'm assuming is a friend. It's not a break-in. And as I'm creeping towards the door, I have a hallway that leads to my recording studio. That I had an extra bedroom and a bathroom there. I kind of glance towards that hallway right before I get to the door, and I get a bright flash of white light, just hits and engulfs my whole body. And I just remember seeing the white light, and then I wake up and my shirt is off and I'm in my back bathroom laying completely on the tile floor on in a starfish formation. Legs open, arms wide, shirt off, laying on the cold tile floor, and I can hear this buzzing in my ear, like ee, like going really high, and my whole body feels like when your arm feels when it goes to sleep. It's just very tingly or whatever, and I get this feeling of like the smell of like what anesthesia smells like. And I know what this smells like because I've had surgery a couple of months prior to that. So I was like, damn, I got like this feeling in the back of my throat of like anesthesia, and the bottom of my spine feels weird and like numb in a way. And then I get this thought instantly, oh my God, my kids, where are my kids? And I pop up off the floor. I run out of my bathroom, run through my bedroom, go into the living room, and my wife is sitting in the love seat that I was sitting in, but she's completely passed out asleep. And she's in the most uncomfortable position you could think of. Like she's crunched up in like a fetal position in a way, with her knees like almost hitting her chin, and she's all like uncomfortable, completely passed out in the sleep. I look for my kids. My oldest son, his feet is where the pillow is, and he's completely under the blanket asleep, and it's just his feet where his head should be on the pillow. And then my youngest son is sleeping underneath the kitchen table with a blanket and a pillow. And I'm like, what's going on? I turn around to look at the TV, and it's like 2:50 something, almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, what is going on? I slapped my wife on her foot to wake her up. I was like, babe, 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 wake up, wake up, wake up. And she was like, whoa, what happened? What happened? I was like, what you mean what happened? It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. She was like, I don't remember what happened. I just remember telling you somebody was trying to open the door. I saw this white light, and now you're waking me up. That's exactly what she told me. And that was why I believe that was a military abduction, because of the smell of anesthesia in my nose. And maybe they wanted to know if that UFO downloaded any information to me, so they took me to a facility or something. I can only assume because I was completely out of it through those hours, but that's my assumption. Now, I can further believe that this is military involvement because like a couple of days later, like 3 or 4 days later, I'm in my living room playing Call of Duty. This time it's like midday, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I can hear people walking around in my backyard. And I'm like, what? And I kind of move the curtain and I look in my backyard, and there's these 3 beefy dudes, man. And I'm talking about 6'4", muscular, like The Rock, like really strong dudes. And they're wearing like I don't want to say military stuff because it wasn't fatigues and stuff, but it was like what you would wear if you was going to fight a Terminator. That's what they were wearing, like the vest and like the black pants and black hat with the glasses. And I go, hey, excuse me, what are you guys doing in my backyard? And they kind of turned at me and they were like, it's all good, man. We're just looking for a drone. There was a drone flying around. We dropped it in your backyard. It's all good, man. And they give me like this feeling like if I keep on asking questions, they want to beat me up, man. And I was super intimidated, 3 against 1. And I'm a big dude, but 6'4" guys, 6'5", bro.
Wow.
I'm not going to fight. So I go inside. I walk to the front door, and my wife is talking to a lady. in the front, and she's like, yeah, we're doing a military operation in the area, and we're doing like drills, and we lost a drone in your backyard. We should be out of your hair and no problem. I believe that they wanted to see if they wanted to cover their tracks, if they dropped anything, or to make sure there was no evidence of the abduction prior, of the taking of me prior and my family. But once again, that's just an assumption. But that's why I believe that's a my lab abduction, as far as, you know, all the other experiences I've had.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Well, that's definitely some evidence. We've heard this before from Mary Rodwell, and that they're involved in all that. So before we get up out of here real quick, we're running a little short on time. Could we plug your documentary that's about to come out soon?
That would be amazing. So the documentary is about to come out soon. It's called Calling All Hybrids, ET and UFO, or UFO and ET Contact. So it's Calling All Hybrids, UFO and ET Contact. It should be on Amazon Prime for purchase on YouTube and Vizmo. And we're also in talks with a couple of other, you know, streaming networks for picking it up right now. Don't want to say the names yet because, you know, I'm hoping still, but we're talking to some major networks that might want to pick it up as well. So that's kind of cool. So if you guys would love to play the trailer, I mean, we could do that right now if you guys would like. That would be amazing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go ahead and plug that trailer.
Yes. So this is the trailer to my new documentary coming out, Calling All Hybrids, ET and UFO Contact. Check it out. When you're growing up and you know these things are really happening to you, and everybody around you that you love is pretty much saying, you're crazy. It was a miserable experience.
Thousands of people are reporting contact with non-human intelligences. And I don't mean just seeing a UFO, but actual contact with non-human entities.
I have a 7.5-foot insect standing close enough to bite.
Their stories and messages are nothing less than profound.
She walked in and she handed me a baby. I get the sense of connection that is mine.
As bizarre and traumatic as these events can be, there is another side to the phenomenon. Experiencers are reporting radical transformations in all aspects of their personal and professional lives. Many commit to a new higher purpose and use an artistic medium as a tool to connect with others.
I want to be able to take people out of that negative state and put them in a positive state.
There's more to being an experiencer than onboard ship encounters and creepy scenes in your bedroom. Join me as I investigate and document hip-hop artist Skits the PLK, Prophet Lucid King. After his mind-blowing ET encounters, Skits changed his rapping style from gangster rap to conscious rap. This is his story.
These things are really happening to me. People need to know.
My name is Josh Golombeski, and I am a UFO investigator, podcaster, and filmmaker. My mission is to investigate and document people reporting contact with non-human intelligences and share their extraordinary stories and profound messages with the world.
All right, so that was pretty sweet. Thank you for showing that, man.
That was awesome, man. That was
fantastic.
awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing that myself. You know, you got to send us a copy.
That was out there, dude. That's so cool.
No, I
Rafael?
got you. I'll tell you what. Do you guys happen to have like a Oculus Quest by any chance?
No,
I don't. No.
Okay, so
I use-
I'm doing a pre-screening for it before the release in the metaverse.
Oh.
So if anybody out there might have
No.
like an Oculus and they're interested in going into the metaverse,
Rafael, it's great. That's great, Rafael. I gotta be honest. I'm more afraid of the
He
metaverse.
gets scared of technology. Anything technology.
I don't like it. There's a difference.
it's so
like,
good, bro. I will not force
do you
it
want
on
Delta? Do you want Delta 9 weed or Delta 8 or the real thing? I want the real thing.
dude, whatever. Hey, I do it like this. I will ask, and then if you're like, nah, dude, not my thing, I can send it to you another way, my brother. All good.
There we go. That sounds fantastic. Rafael, we want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. One more time, go ahead and plug yourself and tell our listeners where they can find you.
For sure, for sure. Well, once again, thank you for having me. I had a blast with you guys, and hopefully, once the documentary is officially out and really getting spread all over the place, I would love to be on again and talk some more. But my name is Rafael Skits the PLK Lugo. Check me out on all your streaming services as far as your music goes. It's Skits the PLK, and then I have a documentary coming out about my experiences with all the things that we've been talking about right now, and how I was able to transition my negative music into positive music and help spread this beautiful message out there to as many people as humanly possible. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Facebook, or you can check me out on Twitter, which is where I spend a majority of my time. I like to be in spaces on X and all that stuff. So it's really cool to be on that platform. So if you guys want to check me out on the new platform X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out at The Real Schizo. So that's The Real SKITZO. And then if you want to contact me via email, it's schizomusic@gmail.com. Let me know your experiences. Let me know your stories. Sometimes you just need somebody else that has gone through it to talk to be able to like release that negative energy. And I'm here for you if you want to talk to me privately or anything like that. You can also go to my website, schizomusic.com, and I have all my recording services there. I also do things like I take other experiencers, and if they don't want to put their experiences out there, I have services in which you could pay me to turn those experiences into music for you. And that would be your way of kind of like releasing that energy. So I write the songs for you. You and me could kind of like go together and really get it done. I also do soundtracks for books. So if you have a book that's about to come out and you're looking about getting a couple of chapters turned into actual music, I provide that service as well. So go check out schizomusic.com and any other podcast that I've been out. And please leave a 5-star review to my boys, The Lost Frequency. Leave your comments, because the more you do that, the more we can spread this out there and really get that information out there. So the way you support me, please support the Lost Frequency podcast, because without people like them and what they're doing, we won't be able to get this message out there more. So please show love to my boys Ryan and Tom if you have a chance, and I'll be here if you need me. That's about it. That was my long-winded outro, my brother.
You were literally the jack of all trades, even traits I didn't know existed.
Exactly. Your portfolio is full. It's like,
I mean, dude, I also got a children's show. I got a children's show that you can check out.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
And we take hip hop and we teach kids about like tying their shoes, how to use the bathroom, what to do on Halloween trips, and we do puppeteering. So I have a friend in Florida that does all the puppeteering. I do all the music. We're a 2-time Telly Award-winning children's show.
I was just joking. Rafael, I was just joking.
Look it up on YouTube, Needles and Scratch.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to thank you again, Raph, for coming on. This was more than I expected. This was so much. It was amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun, and hopefully this turns into a blossoming friendship in which we can, I can have you on my podcast. You can tell me about some of your cool stories. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
If you ever need a metal vocalist, give me a ring, bro.
Dude, I need one tomorrow. Let's figure out how to get you on the album.
All right, man. Thank you so much, and it was a blast. And good luck to you, man.
Later, guys.
Later. Well, that was Rafael Lugo, literally the jack of all trades.
Well, no, I don't want to say jack of all trades. He's got like so
everything.
I know. And then you're like, you can do everything. And he's like, well, I got a kids show too.
Yeah. And it was just like kind of like idly joking about it. He's like, yeah, I'm doing like claymation with my friends and teaching kids how to.
Well, he's not doing claymation, but he's doing puppeteering.
Yeah, puppeteering.
Yes.
I was thinking of Gumby and stuff because he had that. He was talking about that story with the thing with no bones moving, and I just literally thought of Gumby.
He explained that so well too. I was picturing in my mind. I could see this this creature, like this being. I don't know what to call it, but that was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, it was so much that I couldn't quite get like some questions out, but he was just he had this great energy.
But he had
He has so much to say.
He had so much to say, but he kind of answered a lot of the questions I had without even me questioning.
Yeah,
so
that was great, dude.
Yeah.
So we're on YouTube once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go over to Rafael.
Yeah.
Connect to all his things. Like he was saying, he had like 15 different things.
And yeah, like it's help us out by subscribing, liking, and help Raph out too as well.
And we might be putting a song on at the end of this. Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see what comes.
And once again, we thank you all very much for listening and watching the Lost Frequency podcast, where we bring the periphery into focus.
Real focus.
Sometimes.
All the time.
Yeah. I think they're trying to keep us distracted. It's free to pay attention. Yeah.
Don't be distracted by the beams that people put into play. Instead, focus on the freedoms people tearing away. It's all confusion. They turning UFOs into UAPs. To test the public on the subject, change the mood and see how we react. Knowing we've been visited back before Egyptians stacked stones with exact mathematical dimensions with attention to match. Before the days of Pangea when the continent cracked. Stupid humans just been covering tracks. Earth is just a puddle in the sea of what's been attached. I know a couple hybrids living on the planet. In fact, they might be living next to you. You ever think about that? Be the vibe. If you're feeling lost, tune to the tone. We might be living in a dome, but we're never alone. Send a rocket to the moon, let it curve on its own. It's a distraction, but that's all that I can say on this phone.
We're caught up in a blue beam, distracted by design, while shooting down illusions, indoctrinating minds. They wanna see us panic, to put us back in line. The people have awoken and see right through the lies. It's all a distraction. It's a part of the game that we play. They don't need a reaction. Don't you give them the strength, meditate. It's all a distraction. But the people are finding a way to take positive action and spread truth to the ones that
hidden right in plain view, blueprint has been laid out. Played rat in the maze, getting stuck in the same route. Lost, feeling exhausted, breaking the frame down. So breathe, raise your vibration and phase out. Resonant, every thought's related to fate, and they don't want to let you know that you're designed to be great. Who's that? Good question, start checking your mate. They play chess, not checkers. In the darkness they wait. Peep the games that they playing, using holograms till they got the praying, and that's all that I'm saying. Project Bluebeam and the plans that they laying get me hotter than the flames that surround Super Saiyans. God-like, like the godson that be star bright, living in the fractal, speaking to evolve like an oceanic alien that no one was on sight, reminding you to never get distracted. It's all right.
We're caught up in a blue beam, distracted by design, while shooting down illusions, indoctrinating minds. They wanna see us panic, to put us back in line. The people have awoken and see right through the lies. It's all a distraction. It's a part of the game that we play. They don't need a reaction. Don't you give them the strength, meditate. It's all a distraction. But the people are finding a way to take positive action and spread truth to the ones that relate.
See us divided, so they feed us negativity. They put it on the plate and we just heat it up for dinner. See, we allow the panic but never address the lunacy. The current currency gotta be some foolery. It needs to flow with unity, floating with opportunity. Abundance is a class and I'm waiting for God to tutor me. Teach me and let me reach all the people that need the guidance. Allow me to give them visions of all this positive knowledge.
It's all a distraction. It's a part of the game that we play. They don't need a reaction. Don't you give them the strength, meditate. It's all a distraction. But the people are finding a way to take positive action and spread truth to the ones that relate.
Don't get distracted.